Okay, so I'm recording now. So this is actually an easy peasy little class today. I don't think anybody should have any problems with these. It's pretty quick. It's kind of coming up towards Christmas soon. I hate to say that, but these are great for Christmassy type earrings. This colorway is sort of like a poinsettia, I guess you can say that. You can do the sort of Christmassy stars. This is more of a spring type color thing, but it does lend itself very well to stars and things. They're small earring size. These are not really ornament sized, but they're quick and easy to do, and you can make a lot of them. One thing I should mention before I get into it is that these are all 5-pointed. And kind of late in the process, after I made a lot of them, I discovered that you can make a 6-pointed one as well. So if you wanted to do snowflakes rather than stars, it's actually very simple. So I'm not going to tell you how to do it as I go along, but when we get to the end, there's probably going to be time for me to do it again. So I'll do it again and show you how a 6-pointed one works. So remind me if I get to the end, then I said I would do that. So what do we need to get started here? You are going to need a beading needle. Size 10 is great. Some beading thread. I'm very fond of Fireline 6-pound. That is not what this is. This is my thick black thread that shows up well on camera. But I would typically use Fireline. This is rather scruffy old spool here, but 6-pound, and I'd use probably crystal, which is the clear one, but you can see how that really doesn't show up very well on camera. So that's not what I'm using for the demonstration. And then you're going to need 2 types of beads. You're going to need some regular size 11 seed beads, and you're going to need Superduos. Superduos are a check-made 2-hole bead, and they're very useful. They are quite small. I'm just going to pick up a couple so you can see. They're quite small. They've got a sort of a oval or semi-diamond shaped or bulgy profile from the side, and from the way the holes go through, it's a kind of an oval shape with a bit of a bump in the middle. And the neat thing about them is the way they sit together. You can get these beautiful sort of flowery, feathery effects just because of the way the angles of the beads sit together. So they're very pretty, and because they're relatively big as beads go, the things that you're making from them work up quite quickly. So I'm really quite a convert to them. There's lots and lots of other shapes of beads out there with 2 holes, most of which have got very limited use. So I wouldn't really bother with them, but I do like me some Superduos. I found, we were talking just before the start of the class about check twins, and these they're called 2-hole twins. And these are like the previous generation of beads before the Superduo came along. They're less regular, they're slightly smaller. These ones are transparent, so it doesn't really help, but I don't think they make them anymore, but you can see that the general shape is similar. Let me see if I can zoom down a bit. So they've got the 2 holes, the top hole and the bottom hole. They're kind of oval from the side. They've got less of a bump than the Superduos do, and they're kind of oval from this side as well. So they're kind of slightly smaller, slightly smoother, but they do basically the same things. I haven't honestly tested them in this pattern, but they ought to work because they are, as you can see, pretty similar in size as well as in shape, slightly smaller. Okay, so if you have check twins, try them and tell me how they work. Other 2-hole beads, not going to work. Okay, was there anything else? Oh yes, you need some ear wires, and you need some connecting jump rings. If you don't have the jump rings that will go through a bead hole, and these are quite fine wire ones, I'll show you how to make a bead loop as well, so you can hang the ear wires from a bead loop rather than from a jump ring. And you'll need some scissors. I never mentioned scissors. It's kind of a given. If you're using thread, you'll need scissors. And you'll need a pair of pliers for opening and closing jump rings. And that's, I think, about all that you need. Yep, that's all you need. So I've pre-threaded my needle. You only need about 2 feet of thread. It's a quick project, but whatever you're comfortable with. And you need to leave a short tail just to hang on to when you're working, and so that you can get a needle on it to thread it away when you're finished. So we're going to pick up, in order, a seed bead and a Superduo. A seed bead and a Superduo. And we're going to do that until we have 5 Superduos on the needle. So that's 1, 2, seed bead and a Superduo, 3, seed bead and a 4th, seed bead and a 5th. And then we're going to slide these down the thread, leaving a tail, and we're going to thread through all the beads again. Maybe I'll do this down here so it can be on camera, so that you can make a loop. This is a little bit fiddly doing it this way, but if I do it my own way, it'll be off camera. So try not to miss any. No, do not miss any. You need to go through all the beads, finger on the thread so it doesn't come out, pull it through to make a loop, gather it together, and then you want to tie a knot to hold it all firmly together. You don't want to tie it like with the force of death on the first one. You can tie it a little tighter with the second one. Make sure that you don't catch a bead. These Superduos stick out and they're easy to catch. You want that knot to go down between the beads. It's the second knot, and then I always do a third one just for security. So. And you see how it's already forming a beautiful little star shape? That's the core on which you're going to build this earring. Anybody want me to pause while they get caught up? Who's actually following along here? Who's actually doing it as we go?
Me.
I am.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so we've got like half
Okay.
a dozen. Hey, Naga, I knew you'd, Jaga, I knew you'd be following along. Yes. Okay, that's good. We've got at least half a dozen of you. So
We tie it in a knot.
tie it in a knot. Yes.
Okay.
So you want these to be securely in a firm little knot. This is the basis that you're building on. So it hasn't to be wobbly. It's got to be like firmly tied. Some people like to cut off the tail at this point, like weave it in and cut it off. I prefer to leave it until later on because it gives you something to hold on to. But it can, it can get in the way. You can find it annoying. Doesn't really matter.
Oh, crap-a-doodle. And then we go through again. Okay.
You tie, a 3 half knots. Twice over is a square knot. Do another one for security. You don't want to do too many because the knot gets too big and then it shows.
Yes.
And what I do to bury the knot, I like the knot to disappear into the beads, is I go through a seed bead and a Superduo, like I stitch through the next 2 beads, and then just pull the thread and give it a little tug, and that will move the knot inside the bead, and it's completely hidden away.
Mine's not maintaining its shape.
You maybe missed a bead. If you've gone through all of them, and then you want to tie the knot between the first bead and the last bead. So if your knot has moved, you might have trouble, it might not be.
Okay, I'm starting over.
Yeah, It's a small thing, but if you don't get this right, everything else kind of goes to pot. To use a technical term. Remember, you're going to have the video, so you can watch this over and over if you're having problems. But I'll give you a couple of minutes because this is a pretty quick pattern.
I don't want to do it over and over.
I was going to do this with the violet. That's actually a silver lined violet. It looks kind of blue on screen to me, but it's a beautiful color. But you can't see the thread against the beads. It just disappears. So I figured it wasn't a good demo color.
Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3. I think I pulled it too tight.
Oh, possibly, yes. You want the knot secure, but you don't want the thread ridiculously tight.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So you pull the first one gently, pull the second one tighter, pull the third one tight.
Okay, so having said that, when you continue working, then the others will give it its shape. As long as
yes. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. As long as they're securely connected into a ring like this, and that you've got alternating superduos and seed beads, and you haven't got two of any next to each other. That's important too.
Yes.
Okay. Now, everybody watch this bit because this is not the sort of thing you'd expect, and it's important. So you see how my thread is coming out? I'm going to zoom in. My thread is coming out of the bottom hole on this superduo, pointing away from me. I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to go through the top hole and I'm going to come back towards me. So I'm changing direction. I'm not going to pull tight. This is just to get my thread in position. So you see, I'll get rid of the tail. The tail is just confusing here. So you see what I did? I came out of the thread was coming up through the bottom hole. I've come round in a U and I'm coming through the top hole. Now, you can continue to work in that direction. I find that really awkward. I'm going to turn it over so that I'm beading counterclockwise because as a right-handed person, I find that much easier. You can work in any direction you like. So what I'm now going to do is I'm now going to pick up 2 superduos and stitch through the next upper hole here so that my 2 beads snuggle in like that. Isn't that pretty how they just fold in like ears of wheat?
Do your beads have a right side and a wrong side?
No.
Mine do. Ah.
That's, I think what you've got is gem duos, which have got like a really shiny front and a silver back. Is that right?
No, they're both the same color on both sides.
But they're a different shape.
They're diamond.
Oh, maybe they're called diamond duos. Diamond duos and gem duos are the same shape, but the gem duos have got like a silver back.
This is what that's the shape of them.
Yes.
So,
but I mean, but the brand name, I think what you've got is diamond duos. Anyway, never mind. They may work. So we're going to continue around the circle here. Pick up 2, stitch through the next superduo. I'm going to do that 5 times in total until you've worked your way all the way around. That's the sound I like to hear. Everybody concentrating ferociously. And this is I've done the 5th one, and I just went through the last bead is the last of the first round Superduos. You've got a choice at this point. I like to reinforce that round because it's pretty floppy at this point. So I like to just stitch through all the beads again. You kind of don't have to. The only thing you have to do is go through the next pair of Superduos at the same hole, the bottom hole. That will get you in a position for the next round. But I think it's a lot better if you go through all of the beads again. So the way I do it 3 at a time. I go through the previous row and the pair I just added. And the needle kind of likes that. It goes through 3 beads easily. You can't really do any more because you'll end up with a bent needle. And if you do fewer than that, it kind of takes a long time. So I'm just stitching through all of these beads one more time, 5 stitches, until I've gone all the way around. Avoiding my tail. Oops.
Ouch.
Just check in when you're ready for the next step. If you're watching the video, this is a bit where you just fast forward through this.
Okay, I've reinforced my bottom row. Now I'm going up to my second. I've gone up to the first hole. And now I just put in. I'm
sorry, I'm not sure who's speaking and I'm not sure which row you.
So I'm going on to my second row. So I put 2 in the hole? Yes.
Yes, yes. You put 2 Superduos in each space.
Okay, 2 Superduos.
Yes, you're not doing seed beads at this round, you're just doing Superduos.
Yeah. Okay.
So they go in like rabbit ears, the 2 sort of
2
nestle in.
and then I go through the original.
You take the needle through the top hole of the first Superduo.
Oh, that's pretty. Oh my goodness. This is going to be time-consuming jumping, Jupiter.
Mm-hmm.
Because mine have right sides and wrong sides.
Well, you'll just have to make sure you pick them up with the right side facing.
I know.
And that's a little mental exercise because which side is the right side? Depends which way you're coming at them.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, I think we're ready to do the next thing here. So I'm coming out of, it's important that you have the thread coming out of the right place. You see how there's a pair of Superduos here? I'm coming out of the bottom hole of on the outside of one of those. And I'm going to do the same reversal that I did previously. Maybe I can zoom just a little bit. So I'm coming out the bottom hole here. I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to come down through the top hole so that I reverse direction again without picking up any extraneous stuff. And the important thing is here, the thread is now coming out in the middle of one of those rabbit ear pairs. you can actually see on this, you can see the little loop of thread that I made when I did this. It's called a step up. If you just keep going in the same direction, you end up kind of distorting the pattern. This is just a way to keep it all symmetrical. And it also has the effect of sort of locking the thread, which makes it all more secure. Okay, when you've done that, I'm going to turn it over again, just so that I'm working in my comfortable direction. And I'm going to pick up one Superduo and stitch through the next one. So that adds a little point. So that now I'm putting the points on the star, basically.
So do you snug this up tight?
Yeah, you want it firmish. You don't want it so tight that it's beginning to cup. Depending on the exact size and color of your beads, it might not stay flat if you pull it too tight, but it wants to be snug.
Okay.
So this third round is a single Superduo in the middle of the pair. And then to get to the next pair, I'm going to pick up 3 seed beads, if they will behave themselves. These are not well behaved. So 3 size 11 seed beads, and then go through the first Superduo of the next pair. And you see how the seed beads form a little bridge between the 2 corners? And that's your repeat. I'll zoom out so it doesn't keep on auto-focusing. A single Superduo between the pair, and 3 seed beads to get you to the next pair.
Okay, I'm doing my star point now. So how do I step up?
You, I'll just pull this out and I'll show you again.
Sorry.
No, it's great. I want to do this properly. So
I'm at the bottom in the middle of the 2.
Yeah, you want to be at the bottom on the outside one of 2. So
outside, okay. I'm sliding over.
Where are we? Zoom, zoom, zoom.
Yes.
So you see, what I mean by the pair is the 2 that are sitting
Yeah.
on top of the seed bead. So it's coming out of the bottom of this bead here.
Yes.
I'm going to, and of course I've unthreaded the needle to get here, so let me just rethread my needle. I'm going to reverse direction and come through the top hole on that Superduo that I'm currently coming out of. So I want to come back through this hole here.
Yes, that's how that's how we reverse the direction.
That's how you reverse the direction. That's what you did on the first row, and that's it's just exactly the same.
No. Okay, I gotta back up on the no, that's not. Okay.
Make sure you go through the top of the second hole. If you go through the first hole, you're just undoing your work.
Yeah. Okay. So. Okay, I don't think I'm reversing direction, but okay.
Well, if it was, look at this here. This is, it was coming
Yes,
out.
I am.
You see what I mean? Yes. I was
Yeah.
heading up and now I'm heading down.
Yeah, okay.
Now, possibly I confused you by turning it over. I'll leave it this way around, though I find beading this direction kind of awkward.
Yeah.
But just so you can see that I'm continuing now in the direction of the thread.
Okay.
So I'm picking up a
1.
Superduo and going through the next Superduo here. So that adds your point.
Okay.
Then pick up 3 seed beads.
Oh. So is this the leaf part now?
This is oh, sorry, I'm off camera.
Okay, that section there.
That's the pointy bit here.
Okay.
And the 3 seed beads is the basis for this cluster. We're going to come back and add some more seed beads to that cluster.
I'm going to do it the same color. I was going to change colors, but I'll do it the same color. Because I'm confused. I'm confused.
Okay. It'll all be clear later. I'm turning it over because it's confusing me to work in the wrong direction for me. So 5 times in this round, a single Superduo, and then 3 seed beads. It's pointy, so the thread wants to get caught. Don't let it. Okay, a single Superduo and 3 seed beads.
Oh, hang on, Vera. Hang on.
A single Superduo and 3 seed beads. And then it's the 5th one, single Superduo, oops-a-daisy, and the last 3 seed beads, 1, 2, 3.
It's a great pattern.
Isn't that pretty? There's a designer called Deb Roberti who does a lot of these simple patterns and lets them go for free. And this one is based on one of her patterns. It's not exactly the same, but it's pretty close. But it is really pretty. I mean, look at that. Isn't that just lovely? I like the gold and the turquoise. I think that's one of my favorite colors now. So when you get to the end of this round, or am I rushing people? Or do you want a little more time to get to the end of this round?
Yes, please.
Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to add little picots of 3 beads on top of the 3s that we already have. So you're going to stitch through until you get into that first 3 bead cluster. And I'll show you when we're doing it. If I talk about it now, it's just going to confuse you, I think. But it's very simple. And then that's the end of it. After that, you can finish your thread. Oh yeah, Susan, that looks good. Hold on a second. Let's see if I can highlight you. Susan, spotlight.
Oh,
that's pretty. Yeah, that's pretty. Sorry, somebody else was holding up here as well. Who was that?
Sonia.
Sonia. Okay, let me see if I can just get Sonia spotlighted. There you go. Ooh, pretty colors, and you've done the picots as well. That's great. That's lovely. So you can just finish off your thread if you've got the jump rings to attach the ear wires. If not, hold on, and we'll get to adding a bead loop for that. Okay.
I have done this. Can you see?
Hold on a second.
Ratness.
Yeah, just spotlight you. There we go. Check it. Yes.
Ratness. This is Ratness.
Oh, no, Ratness. Sorry, I beg your pardon. I didn't see you on the list, Ratness. Here we go.
Yes,
sorry. Yes.
I am here.
Yes, here you are.
Oh,
it's very dark and it's moving.
Yes, I hold it straight.
I can't really see that.
Can you see it, right?
I can see a star shape. Yes, the light's not very good. Get a little bit higher. You're off camera. A little bit higher up. That looks good.
And I cut off the tail.
You cut off the starting tail?
Yes, I buried
that's
it.
Okay. That's okay. You don't need the starting tail. Okay, let's carry on. So we're not finished yet. So I did my 5th cluster of seed beads, and I went through the first Superduo. Now I need to stitch through 2 Superduos and a seed bead. So I'm coming out after the first seed bead in that group of 3. Do you see where my needle is? That's where you need to be for the last row. Does everybody see that? And then I'm going to pick up 3 more seed beads. And I'm going to stitch through the last. I'm going to skip over 1 and stitch through the last of the 3 seed beads and go through the next Superduo. And then if I pull that snug, you see how it forms a little triangular point. That's your little bead cluster. So then you're going to go through the next couple of Superduos and the first bead in the next cluster. And you're going to keep doing that all the way around.
So Jillian, after you got added your 3 beads, then you go through the last of the first 3 beads before you go through your...
You're talking about starting this round.
I'll just follow through. Do it again.
What you want to do is you want to start each cluster in this position. So you need to take your needle, take your needle through whatever beads you need to get to that position coming out of the first bead in the cluster.
Okay, add 3.
Then pick up 3 and then go through the third bead. So skipping 1, go through the third bead. And then whatever's comfortable. I like to just go through 1 at this point till I can pull that snug, and then go through the other 2 Superduos and the first one in the next cluster. You could conceivably do all of those in one stitch, but I tend to break needles when I do that sort of thing. My needles get bent. So through here, these are, they're cooperating today, but sometimes they don't want to form little triangles, and you have to use your fingernail to sort of persuade them to sit down and behave.
Okay, mine's not doing the triangle. So what do? You go in the first one, you put on 3.
You have to, your thread has to be coming out of, hang on a second.
The first bead.
The first seed bead, and I'm having a little bit of problems with my glasses here. So there we go.
No,
so you need to start in this position. It's coming out of the first bead as you work away from you. If you're working towards you, it would be the first bead coming towards you. Some people stitch.
Work.
Why is it not going to work?
Because the gemstones are too far apart.
You'd need to adjust the number of seed beads. Then you couldn't do 3s. You'd have to do like 5s or something.
Oh, I see.
So yeah, so they're just, the dimensions are just not right. That's unfortunate. There are some other patterns that use those that are very pretty, but the dimensions are just not going to work with this. Because you can see it depends on them fitting snugly together.
This is what I don't know if you can see it or not.
Let me spotlight you. Hold on, Vera. Yeah, give us a show.
There's too much space between the like they're not fitting in.
I don't see why that won't work. Like, back up to the one where you've added the second row. Let's have hold it up later off camera here. Oh, I think you've maybe just taken the thread through the wrong. You see how it's very gappy, but I think if you pull it,
because they're not, these triangles aren't fitting snug proper.
There's something weird with the first group. Pull the thread a little tighter and just see if that will pop into place.
Looks like the thread went underneath somehow.
It does. It looks like I'd pull out the groups and do it again, and just make sure that you're actually going through them in the correct order, because it looks like there's something got caught. It's always hard to see on camera.
I know it's.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, with that last group, that my star is actually finished. So all I need to do at this point is finish off the thread, or if I want to add a bead loop, so anybody who's not got jump rings and wants to add a bead loop, follow me at this point. I'm going to stitch through until I get to the top of one of these clusters. So I'm going to go through, and this is a little stiff, so hold on, bear with me while I do this close to my nose. There we go. So I'm going to stitch through these here. So I'm coming out the top of one of those little bead clusters. And then I'm going to pick up some more seed beads to make a loop. And I, as people who've done my classes before, know I like to do odd numbers. So I'm going to do 5 seed beads, or I could do 7 if I wanted a bigger loop. Then I'm going to take the needle back through the bead it's coming out of in the same direction so that I'm forming a loop. And that's my hanging loop. So that's where I would attach my ear wire. And then all I have to do is reinforce this a couple of times to make it strong, because it's going to carry the weight of the earring. This is always slightly sloppy until you've got a couple of rounds of thread in it, so do it with care. There's 2. I think this can take a third, so we'll do a third. Go around. Be careful not to go through any holes I shouldn't go through. And then I'm going to just weave this away, tie some knots.
Here.
I like to do about 3 half hitches. Usually I won't do them in the outside, but in this particular design, the best place to do them is actually just along here. And then, then I can use a pair of scissors or a thread burner and just cut off the thread. This is already, the starting tail is already knotted, but I do like to weave it away so that you're not cutting right next to the knot. So I've just, that's actually enough. There we go. So that's your earring. And I will add the ear wire. These ear wires have a little loop at the bottom, which you can open with your jewelry pliers. And then thread it through the little loop you just created and close. Close the loop. And there you go. Alternatively, you can do like I did on this one and just thread a jump ring directly through the Superduo bead and through the ear wire. So this is a very clean look, but if you don't have those fine wire jump rings, you might have trouble doing that. This is a very traditional way of hanging earrings with a bead loop. So how's everybody? Any questions?
I'm good. I just didn't have any jump rings small enough.
Yes, I do chainmail, so I have a vast selection of jump rings, but you need, you know, 20 gauge or finer, and I like stainless steel because they're stronger. Susan, I like that. That's lovely.
Can you show us the 6-star?
I will do that. yes, thank you for reminding me.
Thank you.
Elise, I like that. I like the pink and white. Very nice. Cindy, I'm having trouble seeing yours. Let me spotlight you just a sec. Oh, very pretty.
Light.
Yes, it's sort of like a pale leaf green. Is that like a transparent green and gold?
They're red, kind of transparent, and the green are transparent, yes.
Yes, yes. They'll look like earrings in transparent beads are lovely because they catch the sunlight, right?
I
Very
finished it
nice.
too.
Good. Okay, let's Jagger. Is that Jagger, right?
Yeah. Mine is
Okay, hold on a
green.
sec. I'll just spotlight you. Oh yes,
Oh,
that's
very
nice.
pretty.
Pretty.
Thanks.
Yeah, so you can see the fun element of this. You can do a lot with color on these, and they're quick and easy, really. Once you've figured it out.
I add 2 more seed bead in the middle because there's a big hole, right?
Sure, you know, like feel free to alter this pattern. It's designed to be
Because
played
Lono
with.
is too small, so I can't put just 1. I had to put 2.
Yes. Okay. Well, what you know, different beads are different shapes and sizes. So, you know, sometimes you just have to play with them to make it work. So I'm going to show you the 6 bead version, and I'm just going to run through this. Normally, this sort of thing doesn't work if there's a certain number of beads required. You know, you can't mess with it. But weirdly, this one, it does work. So I'll show you. It's very simple. It's basically exactly the same pattern. I'm just cutting myself some more thread. Zoom out so that we can see what I'm doing here. I'm sorry if all the zooming's giving you a headache. It's a drawback with giving me the controls like this. Okay, so here's my thread. I'm going to pick up a seed bead, a Superduo, a seed bead, a Superduo. And instead of doing 5 of these, you can guess what I'm doing. I'm going to do 6 of them. Has anybody yet had a problem where one of the holes is blocked? One of the beads?
No.
It used to be a big problem when these first came out, but I think the production process has got a lot better. Every so often you'll get one where one of the holes is just sort of melted and you can't get a needle through it. And it's always the second hole, so you've always, you know, incorporated it, and it's the next row you find that you can't get through the second hole. But it's not anything like as common a problem as it used to be. I used to tell people to check all their beads before starting, but that takes more time than you lose by you know, just undoing the bit where the problem is. So I'm doing the same as I did before. I've got them joined into a ring now. If you had problems with the knot, just watch this. I'm doing it the same as I would do before. So I've got my short end making 1/2 knot and making sure that the knot goes down between the beads so that I'm not trapping a bead. I don't know if that's clear. See the knots in there? I'm pulling that, but not hugely tight, so it's firm, but it's not rock hard. There's the second part of the knot, making sure it goes in the same place. Oops, on camera, not off camera. And the third part of the knot in the same place. And then I'm going to stitch through a seed bead and a Superduo. Give it a little tug, and that pulls the knot inside the bead and keeps it out the way. Get my tail out of the way. I'm going to reverse direction through here and turn it over to make it easier for me as a right-hander. And then I'm going to put pairs of Superduos in between each of the beads. So I've now got a 6-pointed star rather than a 5-pointed star. And everything else proceeds just exactly as you did with 5, except that you're doing it with 6. And I'm just going to rattle through this because you've seen this all before. But apart from the fact that you've changed the number, everything is the same.
That's interesting that it worked out.
It kind of shouldn't, but I think the thing is that the 5 is there's a little bit too few, and maybe the 6 is a little bit too many, but it does work. So I'm just going to reinforce this one like I said with the other one. So I'm going to go through 3 at a time through the same holes that you did before. because otherwise it does tend to kind of fall apart on you. I didn't used to do this, but this actually makes the whole thing work so much easier for the next stages. I'm not quite sure how I discovered this. I think I saw a design somewhere that had a 6-pointed star, which was very similar to this, and I thought, I wonder if that would work. So there's my reinforced round. I'm going to reverse direction so that I'm coming out of the middle of a pair. Flip it over, and then I'm going to put in the point, Superduo. And again, there's no change in the numbers, 3 seed beads. And a Superduo, and oops. Now, I missed a bead here. See, I made the stitching movement, but I missed the hole completely, so it was not snugging up. So you have to watch this. Sometimes you think you've done something and your needle just misses the hole. So it's always worth checking. If something doesn't feel right, it's probably something like that you did. I've got a few more classes with Superduos because once you've got them, there's a lot of things that you can do with them. I'll show you before we finish. We've got about 10 minutes left. I'll show you the next couple of classes I'm doing, both of which use Superduos. So if you are hesitating in finding them, that might decide you that you want to go get some. I don't have shares in the company or anything.
Are they already posted on Boomerang or not?
They just went up. Joanna told me just before we came on that she'd posted them. They were being very slow about getting them up, so I was getting a little annoyed. Boomerang is going nuts at the moment. They've got so many classes. It's just amazingly successful. But it means that they're always running around trying to get things done. So that's
Joey,
that row.
if
Yeah.
we're going on to the second row, what do? We put 2 where the seeds are, right?
The second row is where you're putting in 2 Superduos in each space.
Yeah, okay.
The third row is where you have a single Superduo and then the group of 3 seed beads. But the second row is just 2 in each space.
Okay. And we still go in the same direction, or do we go in the opposite?
You should start the second row by reversing direction.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's kind of like, where's my thread gonna go? You know, it's like I want, you know, you'll the written instructions will tell you where, but after you've done it a couple of times, you'll realize it's sort of obvious.
Yeah.
There's nothing much else that you can do. So I'm just going to, for the 6-pointed one, I'm just going to do the little 3 bead picots. So I'm coming through to that first seed bead in the group. I'm picking up 3. I'm going through the last seed bead in the group and the next Superduo, and just persuading that to sit like a nice triangle. Go through the next 2 Superduos and the first seed bead. Pick up 3 seed beads. God, my eyes are really not working today. I think although the blue is great on the camera, I'm working on a kind of dark, dull blue bead mat, and it's not helping my eyes any. Oops. I'm just going to finish this round because I think it's sort of, since it's the same technique, I might as well get it on the record. So you might find it easier to watch this one where I'm going through it fairly fast rather than the stopping and waiting bit. Now that's interesting. Always learn from my mistakes. Somehow I've managed to only pick up 1 seed bead here. So I'm going to take that out. It's almost always quicker to take the needle off when you make a mistake rather than try to sew back. Because when you try and sew back, you almost always get the thread, either you split the thread or you get the thread wrapped around something else and you just dig the hole that you got yourself in even deeper. Now, that's very much a do as I say, not as I do thing, because I try to sew back often, but it's much more sensible to take the needle off. Come on, come on. And I'm coming up on my last picot. And there it is. I'll just go through a couple of beads to secure it.
How about
I'm not going to finish.
Loop? Can you show me the loop, how to do the loop?
Okay, I'll do a loop on this one since
Yes,
I'm exactly in that position. So you're going to do the loop on the top of the group of seed beads.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to take your thread up through this, and for some reason it's really hard to get the needle in here, but you want to go up through the 3 seed beads. You don't have to do them all at once. There's 2 and there's the 3rd one.
Mm-hmm.
So you're coming out of the top of the seed beads. Now, this loop here had 5 in it, which is a kind of a snug little loop. I'm going to do 7 just to show you what a bigger loop looks like. Always use an odd number. It works better. 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. And then stitch back through the bead that the thread is coming out of, and this makes a loop. If you stitch the other way, all you're doing is undoing your stitch.
That's where I made the mistake. Yeah.
That's, you know, everybody does that. It's not just you.
And then go.
And then this isn't very loopy, but you need to then go around this loop again. So whatever way is convenient to you, I just keep going in the same direction your thread is going. Going through a few beads at a time. You can't go around all of them because your needle is not circular. That's twice around. I try to do 3 if I can, mainly because not so much it makes it stronger because these threads are very strong, but because it makes it stiffer, so it stands up better. But 2 is quite strong enough if that's all you want to do. The reason I do an odd number is because if you look at how this loop is sitting, there's 3 beads down each side and 1 bead at the top.
On the top.
And that top bead is what the wire will sit up against. If you have an even number, the top will be between 2 beads and the ear wire will slide between them, and first of all, it'll get stuck and it might come off. And secondly, it'll wear on the thread and it could break it. So like an odd number is structurally more sound. So that's the loop reinforced. So now I just need to take this through some beads, tie some knots, and generally secure it, which I won't do on camera because you all kind of know how to do that, right? And there's your loop.
Okay, thank you.
You could do that loop in a different color because it looks like it's part of the design here. But if you changed this loop to something like silver or gold, you know, it would change the way the whole thing looked. So pretty, huh?
Thank you. Yes, it looks nice.
Yes. So in the last couple of minutes, I'll just show you the next couple of classes I'm going to do with Superduos because I think they're pretty. The next one is on the 20th, which is, I'm not doing one next week. Let me just quickly check on this. But this is a necklace made with Superduos. So it's a little triangular necklace on chain.
pretty.
This one I didn't put on a chain yet, but you see how you can do it. Like they all have a sort of a totally different look, but they're all made to exactly the same pattern.
That one's on the 20th, and in case anybody's looking,
That one's on the 20th, yes,
at 11:30.
at 11:30, and that one just went in the calendar like 10 minutes before we started. And then on the 28th, I'm doing one called Swirls of Superduos. So this is the Superduo triangle necklace, and this one is Swirls of Superduos. And this is it's a 3-color pinwheel type deal.
Yes, it looks nice.
Beautiful.
Isn't that amazingly pretty?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Really
And it's not
pretty.
it's not difficult. These ones, this is a slight variation where I do a kind of a frame of seed beads. I haven't decided whether to include that one. It's slightly more complicated, but it's sort of pretty. But this is the basic pattern.
Wow.
If there's time, we'll do both.
The basic looks no neater.
Yes, it does. I thought this looked kind of like nautical, like some sort of compass rose thing, but
That's a pendant.
yes, that's to make a pendant. These would be earrings, and that
Earrings,
this is a bigger one. These are the earring size. This one's got one extra row to make a pendant, and this one's got one extra row and a frame. So once you learn the basic, you can do a lot of variations of your own. But I really like that one.
It's the same size of duo, Superduo?
Yes, Superduos. They're all of these use Superduos. These are Superduos as well.
All right.
The
And,
first one in that row, Jillian, what color is that one?
This one here?
Yes.
Hold on a second, and I'll see if I can find it. It's a matte iris. I think it's this one. Yes, silky gold iris. So it's not matte; it's silky, but it's all one color with gold. These are size 8 seed beads, so it's gold size 8 seed beads. Silky gold iris is the name. It's really pretty.
Jillian, it's
Yes.
Susan. I modified our earring pattern from today, and I put
Okay.
in the spaces, I put little silver beads in the gap.
Okay, hold on just 1 second. I'm going to stop the recording now. Okay, so this is Susan's modification to the pattern.
Is that okay? For
Can you
Yeah.
explain the modification again?
I put 5 little beads where the little spaces were. These little silver beads are on top of the spaces.
Oh, right. Okay. Yes.
So you just kind of sort of embellished the hole. You came up through the hole, captured a bead, went back down through the hole.
One bead and up across at an angle to the top of the next one, and then back down at the angle for the next one.
Yes, that's really cool. Thank you.
So it's basically like a picot.
Yeah, I hope my girlfriend doesn't see this. These are her earrings for Christmas present.
Nobody
Wonderful.
breathe a word.
I have to make another one now.
Good. Anybody else want to show and share while we're still recording?
Well, I have this one here.
Okay, I mean, just,
Nice of these.
I did both.
oh, very nice, yes. Yes, I like that. That's almost like jelly bean colors. It's very bright and pretty, yes. So, Jagger, you did both sizes? Oh,
Yeah,
you did both
both
earrings,
same.
cool.
Both earrings. Wow.
Yes, you guys are fast. That's nice. I like that sort of luminous green.
Thank you so much, Jillian.
Hey, no problem.
Thanks
And
a lot.
Thank you very much.
yes, and we're out of time, guys. So, so thank
The
you very
20th
much.
one is not up yet.
Yeah, the
Uh,
new ones are up.
It
Just
should
the